Picture the strongest person you have ever met and watch what they do in a crowded room. They don't fill the silence. They let it sit. They watch. And when they finally speak, the whole room leans in. We live in an environment that aggressively rewards noise. The person who talks fastest usually gets the floor. The person who posts the most accumulates the attention. We have quietly come to accept that making yourself heard is how you prove your worth. The urge to keep talking, to constantly insert your own opinion, is actually a severe, exploitable vulnerability. It is one of the hardest human impulses to resist. The man dominating the airwaves, constantly broadcasting his experiences and opinions, is rarely leading the room. He is compensating. He is chasing a feeling, driven by biology that most people never realize is controlling them. A few years ago, researchers at Harvard placed people in a scanner and gave them a choice: answer questions about others or talk about themselves. This diagram maps the biological feedback loop they discovered. When subjects talked about themselves, the reward system deep in the brain, the nucleus accumbens, lit up. The brain treats self-disclosure exactly the same way it treats eating good food or receiving money. Every time you talk about yourself, you get a literal biological pleasure hit. The researchers then offered subjects real cash to stop talking about themselves and answer questions about other people instead. Many turned the money down. The craving to share their own thoughts was so strong, they were willing to pay out of their own pockets just to keep broadcasting. Words cost you something. When you cannot stop talking, your entire hand is face up on the table. You reveal your ambitions, your insecurities, and your grudges. You hand over the exact map of how to please you and how to hurt you. Every time you give in to that itch to interrupt and make a conversation about you, you are giving away your leverage. You are trading your composure for a cheap, fleeting chemical reward. The ancient Stoics understood this long before we could put someone in an MRI machine. Zeno of Citium observed that nature gave us 2 ears and 1 tongue, so we might listen twice as much as we speak. That gets repeated today as a polite proverb. To the Stoics, it was a rigorous, martial instruction. The tongue was considered one of the hardest parts of a man to govern, and controlling it required daily, grueling repetition. True silence is not sitting there like a stone, too guarded to connect. It is a highly active state. It is the strategic creation of a void in the conversation, space that you deliberately open up for the other person to step into. Anyone can stay quiet when they have nothing to say. The agonizing part of this discipline is holding your tongue when you are burning to speak, when you have the perfect comeback, a funnier anecdote, and your ego begs to be fed. The true measure of your strength lives in that exact space. It is the fraction of a second between feeling the biological urge to speak and deciding to keep your mouth shut. Look at this representation of the amygdala in a listener's brain. It acts as a continuous scanner for social threats and judgment. When you give someone your complete attention without rushing to fix or rebut their points, that threat scanner quiets down. The body reads your deep attention as a signal of safety. It responds by releasing the chemistry of trust and bonding. By giving someone space to finish their thoughts, you trigger a physiological shift in them. The dynamic in the room completely flips. The speaker relaxes, their guard drops. They start noticing contradictions in their own thinking and arriving at clarity they couldn't reach alone, projecting massive trust onto you. The disciplined man across the table has said almost nothing. He has given you no edge to push against. By doing nothing but holding his silence, he gains total understanding of the person in front of him, while remaining an entirely impenetrable fortress himself. Picture yourself at a dinner party. Someone across the table starts telling a story about a trip they took. Halfway through, your brain cues up a better, funnier trip. You can feel it sitting on the tip of your tongue, pressurized, ready to launch the second they pause. Right there, widen the gap. Let your own story die. Never tell it. Instead, lean in and ask one more question about their experience. Prove you are actually present, listening to understand them, not just waiting to reload your reply. The restraint of speech does not exist in a vacuum. It is the exact same muscle as your temper, your fear, and your impulsive appetites. The man who can govern his tongue is actively strengthening the core engine of his will. This is an entirely invisible victory. There is no audience for the words you choose not to say. There is no applause for the comeback you swallow. and no recognition for the urge you let die in silence. But you master your speech because it proves that your higher mind, and not your impulses, is in command. Practice this restraint, and you will become the kind of person who changes the temperature of a room without raising his voice. If you want to keep building a disciplined mind, take a second to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Walk into every room knowing your strongest weapon is often nothing at all. I will see you in the next one.